Are we on? That is the question. I am still learning how to do live streaming. Boppity bop. It says I'm live. There we are. It worked. Are we on? That is the question. Let's mute this. There we go. Okay, guys. I'm Tabby. If you have been here before, if you've been watching Simple Pin Media, then you know that I used to, record our videos, teach you guys how to do Pinterest marketing. And then Kate, our Simple Pin Media's founder, CEO, the lady who runs the thing, took it over, which was a good thing. She's much better at this. So the plan was that she would be here with me today. We would both be here doing this live audit, but unfortunately she is under the weather. So no worries, I got this. I do know how to do Pinterest marketing. So let's do it. First, let me pull up some stuff here. We had our winner for this live audit. Her name is Susan. I'm not sure if she can make it today. Hopefully she can, because I'd love to ask her some questions. Susan, if you're here or if you show up, I would love for you to comment. Let me know you're here. Susan is a blogger. She is, at first I thought she was a food blogger, but she's not just a food blogger. She also does like home design, DIY, gardening, stuff like that. So her account, I believe, is called Mom Creef. Creef. Mom Creef. Creef is her last name. And so she is Mom Creef, which, she's like the mom who knows it all at home. And that is her thing. So that is who we are going to audit today. And I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. Hopefully I am able to. Let me get the right screen on. If you're here with me right now, can you guys pop in the live chat? Can you like say hello? That would be amazing. Where are you from? Say hello to me. Okay. We are on. Sharing. The whole screen. That's not what I meant to do. Look at this. There's a double there. There's a double. Here we go. Share. There we go. All right. Here we have Mom Creef. Hopefully I can see you guys in comments here. Yep, I can. Okay. So let's get started. This is kind of like how we do our thing. This is like a service that we offer. I should look at the camera. This is a service that we offer here at Simple Pin Media. It's one of our more affordable, almost basic kind of service where we run through your account and we, look at every little detail and we give you a report after we're done and we tell you, what you're doing great at and what you could improve on. So we also have a lot of other services, anywhere from like, products, DIY. We teach you how to do it yourself, your Pinterest marketing. And then we have like in the middle place where we do Pinterest marketing with you, which would be our inner circle mastermind group, which is only open at certain parts of the year. And then we have our do it for you services where we totally take over your account and all of that. Just to give you kind of an idea of like who we are, what we're all about, what we do. Simple Pin Media has been around for over 10 years, both managing big bloggers accounts and now e-commerce accounts, and teaching people how to do it themselves. So I am a part of the team here at Simple Pin Media. It's a pretty large team, pretty proud of being a part of this company. We take a lot of pride in teaching you guys how to do this right. So I want to get to the audit. So first and foremost, you can see Susan's profile here. So Susan, first and foremost, when I first opened this, I'm thinking, okay, I'm feeling your aesthetic. I'm feeling it with the herb bunch here, Susan here, and you are mom creef. I get the idea there. But I want to point out that when I scroll down into all of the pins that you've created, they don't match your branding. So that is the first thing. That is like the first thing that I kind of want to give you an action item for. And usually like we wait till the end to give you an action item, but I'm going to do it now. This is your first action item. It's branding. So we'll talk more about that here when I get into the pins, but I want to talk about branding with you. So here, I love this image. I think you could do something more with this, give your audience a better idea of who you are, what you do, how you can help your audience there on Pinterest. So here's what I would do if I were you. I would go search, your competition, right? Like we know our competition. Everybody knows their own competition. So I would go look at your competition, and maybe not like specifically your competition, but the people that are in the same niche as you, who are like excelling, like doing really, really well. I want you to go look at their Pinterest accounts and get inspiration from that. Something that I might consider here is, there's a lot of different ways you could go about this, but you could do text where you kind of give a overview idea of who you are. Let me give you an example here. So like our account says proven Pinterest marketing training for online business owners. That's who we are. That's what we do. So that's something that you could get inspiration from, or it could be like a grid where you're showing like, I'm a gardener. I'm also, a food blogger. I am also a DIYer. So you can show pictures of, what you're doing there. I did notice that your profile picture here is the same on your website and on other social media platforms, and that's really good. You want to have consistency on wherever you are, everywhere you are, that your audience might follow you on, so that they can say, oh, I know this person. Cool. So good job there. So you're Susan Moncrief, at least I hope I'm saying that right. I should see. Is anybody letting me know? I hope I am saying that right. Please tell me if I'm not. So you're Susan Moncrief. Your business is moncrief.com. So I don't think you need the momcreef.com right here, just because you already have, that's here. That's your, your linked business right here. So I would actually, instead of that, I would edit that and change that to kind of like your overarching who you are. So I wrote down some notes here. I would maybe say like Susan Moncrief, and then add like food, home, garden. That's just an idea. And another thing that you could do here, just if you want to be like specific, nitty gritty, we're going to get into keywords here in a minute. And that's where you can, when I teach you about keywords and finding the right keywords on Pinterest, that's where you can take these keywords and start to put them in the right places, like in the title. And then also, let's go down to the profile description. So, before we go into that, I wanted to say, when Susan filled out her, the form that she had to fill out in order for us to know more about her and her account and what she's looking for, she gave us her challenges and you know, the things that her goals for Pinterest and all of that. So her goal for Pinterest specifically is to drive traffic to her blog. She was hit by the recent Google changes and updates, which a lot of creators were. She's grateful that she's been continuing to been on Pinterest. Guys, look at this. She has some monthly views, 4.4 million. That doesn't necessarily, like we've said this before, you could go back and look in our videos. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're like super successful on Pinterest and all of that, but it is a good indication of your potential on Pinterest. So she's grateful that she's continued to pin on Pinterest with all the changes on Google. So that's great. Her challenges would be that she has a hard time following like Pinterest guidelines. She feels like there's no hard rules about Pinterest marketing, and it doesn't seem clear to her. Another thing is that she is hoping to kind of narrow down her pin design because she has a pin that does really, really well all the time. And she wants to kind of replicate that. And that is something I do want to talk about here in a minute. So those things in mind for Susan. And you guys, if you're watching this and you're like, how can this, you know, play into my account or stuff like that, I want you to write down, what is your goal for Pinterest? What do you want Pinterest to do for you? Do you want more traffic to your site? Do you want more sales? Do you want more email signups? So pick your goal, and then you can also write down the biggest hurdles that you have with Pinterest. And then think about those things as we go through an audit, and hopefully that will help. And also, you can always ask questions in the comments. We are here for that. Okay, so back to Susan. Pinterest profile description. So one thing she did ask was about her Pinterest profile description. She said it's very old. She thinks she might need to update it. So she says, I share easy recipes, gardening tips, planter ideas, and inspirations. Come visit my 100-year-old home where I show major renovations and decor. So yeah, I would update that, Susan. Not a ton. I think you have a lot of good keywords in here that have to do with your niche, which is great. I just think it it's not very cohesive. So I would probably change it to something like I share easy recipes, which easy recipes is really great keyword phrase on Pinterest. Gardening tips. Let's see. I think I would say I share easy recipes, gardening tips, and home design. Follow along for all things food, home, and garden. So my idea here was that you're creating consistency with your profile description and your title, food, home, garden, because that's what you do. Mama Sue. Oh, that just came out. Sorry. My mother-in-law is Mama Joe, so you could be Mama Sue. Anyway, I just think that fits your aesthetic. Oops. Okay, let's get out of that and zoom out. Okay. So pin design. One, I think that you have the ability. I can see from your pins that you have the ability to create pins that are readable, they're legible, they pop, and for the most part, get the attention of the pinner. So first and foremost, I think you can do that. I just want you to focus more on branding. So I'm going to share something with you. We have a little branding kit that Erin, our ads specialist here at Simple Pin, she's also a designer. And she works on all of our design things, and she created our brand kit, and it's really, really good. I'm going to see if I can share it here. Boom, boom. Okay, so this is our little brand guide. We have our logos, our colors, our fonts, elements, brand elements like this. So we have branding images. These are just this, it's not that you have to create this, it's just that I want you to get an idea of like how you want to center your thoughts, your brain around, your overall look of your brand. And we think that is very important when you are trying to build something online, because there are a million different things, people, businesses out there with, saying a lot of the same things. And so you want something that's unique to you, and you want to show that consistency on all of the online places that you are. Okay. So that is what I want you to take for when you're creating your pens. So if I am a person searching, let me switch here. Let me switch. Okay. If I'm a person searching for, a recipe or a DIY garden tip or something, I want to be able to tell that, this person is the same as this person. You know what I'm saying? So, that is where I want you to go with it. Like, for instance, I don't know what your brand colors are. I don't know what your kind of font look is. I don't need to know what your font is. You know what I mean? Just your look. I need to know what your look is. So that's something that I would tweak. So next I want to go into saved, which is where your boards are. So Susan, you have a lot of boards. And here's the thing. This might feel a little overwhelming to you to like say, if I'm telling you like, oh my gosh, we need to like edit down the boards. But you're going to feel a lot better just once it's done, knowing that that the boards are working for you, that the boards that you have, and when you know the boards you have, then you will know where to put the pins in the right boards, so that Pinterest knows exactly who Susan is and what she's all about and who to put her content in front of. Okay, does that make sense? This is why it matters. Okay, so we have a lot of boards here, and I am noticing that a lot of these boards are also group boards, especially at the top. So here's my little thing about group boards. Kate and I both, and a lot of our team, talk about this. So group boards kind of used to be more important than they are today. Today, they just don't work for us as well as they used to. So especially if the group board that you're in has a ton of contributors. Because when you have a ton of contributors in a board, you're just going to get buried. There you go. That's it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to, and write this down because this is kind of like another action item here, your homework. Go to your analytics, your overview analytics in your Pinterest account, and scroll down to boards, top boards. And I want you to look at the boards that are doing better for you, doing well for you. And take note of those. And you could do this if you wanted to. You could do this maybe like, let's say every quarter, but even if it's like that's too much, then let's just do it once a year. Go in, look at your top boards, and make note of that and make sure that you are consistently pinning relevant content to those boards that are doing well for you. And then I want you to look at the group boards, and I'm going to guess that probably all of them probably need to be set to secret, or you need to not secret, because if you don't own the board, you can't go to secret. You can leave the board. Leave the board. If it's something you're not pinning into, if it's something you're not active in, if it's something that a ton of contributors are in and they're just like burying content, just leave the board. I want you to focus on your own content, keywording, optimizing your keywords, optimizing your boards for your own content. Okay. That's what we're going to do. And this one has a ton of sections, which is not, this is just a little side note. As a business account on Pinterest, sections aren't really for us. Sections are more for the pinner, the user of Pinterest. They're not really useful for a business account. So this, I realize this is a group board, not your board. You don't own it. So, but I'm just letting everybody know who's watching this right now. Now you know, as a business, you don't need sections. Let me check in here. Okay, we're good. Susan, I see you now. I'm sorry, I missed your comment here. How do I figure out which group boards to keep? Oh, okay. Well, I just answered that. I mean, the only time I would keep a group board or stay in a group board, I guess, is if it's like, generally, if it's like, here's what I'll say. If it's 20 contributors or less, and it's a board that is very relevant to your content and you are like consistent in that board, go ahead and keep or stay in it. If it is a board that is just polluted, with a ton of contributors, even if it maybe is a good relevant board, you could probably make your own board with similar words, keywords, and it would probably do you better. So that's what I would say. That's how I would clean up the group boards. Please continue to ask questions if you have them as we go. So keywording though, let's get to that. Let's see, I'm going to try and find one here. Okay. Container, gardens, flower pots, planter ideas. So here's where we get into the keywording. Here's what this is my technique. This is what I do when I am searching, for good keywords, best keywords, whatever it may be. So first, I am going to look at the boards that I already have, the keywords that I already have, and I'm going to write them down. So at the top here, you have basically you have 3 titles for this one board. So container, flower pot, and I'm going to write these down, planter ideas. And I'm going to go into, I'm going to actually go over here. I'm going to go into trends. And then at the top of trends in the search bar, I'm going to type in those keywords that you had on your board. Container garden, is that what it was? Yes. Well, you have container gardens. Let's just say garden. And we're going to look at this graph, okay? Then we're going to, you can add up to 4 keyword phrases here to compare. Let me know if you already know this. Do you know this? Some people don't realize they can do this. Flower pots. There it is. Let's click on that. See how, so now we can compare these keyword phrases. Now the number here is just, I forget what they say. Oh, how often it says how often people are searching for a keyword compared to all keyword searches that week. Indexed from 0 to 100. It's a comparison number. It's not exact number. It's not like, oh, this day it was searched 18 times. It's not like that. So let's go planter ideas. Planter ideas. So these are very consistent with each other, actually. But we can see for the most part, except in obvious winter, dead of winter months, for the most part, planter ideas pulls ahead. So here's something I think maybe you might want to do, just because when we add too many, like this is kind of like keyword stuffing. We might be confusing Pinterest as to what you're talking about. So here's what I would do. Planter ideas pulls ahead according to trends. I would simplify this board into planter ideas. And then I would still use those keywords, container gardens, flower pots, within your descriptions, within your board description, and within the pin titles, descriptions, whenever it makes sense. I have not really done much with trends. This is so helpful. Oh, good. Susan, I'm sorry, I'm mumbling under my breath like my son. Susan said, I have not really done much with trends. This is so helpful. Cool. I'm glad, Susan. Okay, so obviously these other keywords are still being searched, they are. Those are good, great keyword phrases that you should definitely keep in your repertoire. That's a hard word to say. Anyway, but this is how I would simplify your boards. And you have plenty of boards where you can just do planter ideas for this board. And I know I saw, okay. So like here you have another gardening board. Gardening, that's a group board, never mind. You have a very specific board right here, which is good. If you have enough content to continue to put, new, fresh, relevant content in that board, great. You can be specific. But I would also continue to do your keyword research using Pinterest trends, just to kind of like narrow down, like, are red geraniums, highly searched keyword phrase. So that's where I would go with that. So here's what I want you to do. Oh, thanks, Emily. Emily said, wow, I love this live chat video. Thank you so much. I can't really see sometimes there's like a lot of things in the way. I can't read the words. I look like I need glasses. Anyway, okay, so back to keywording. So here's what I do feel like I'm kind of throwing a lot at you, Susan, with the boards thing. So here's a thing you should write down. Number one, we're going to go through the group boards first. And we're probably going to be liberal about leaving them. Number two, we are going to pick the boards that are gardening specific. And we're going to go through those. Then we're going to go through the boards that are food specific. And we're going to go through those, and so on and so on. That's what I would do if I were you, to sharpen, to tighten this up a bit. You know what I'm saying? Let me look at my notes, make sure I'm not skipping anything here. So we talked about branding. We talked about your boards. We talked about keywording. Okay, so that's just the first half of keywording. The other thing that I do when I'm searching for the great keywords. Oh, wait, before we move on, we have another thing here. Susan said, all my recipe boards start with recipe. Okay, yes, I was going to get to that. For example, recipe dash desserts. Is that okay? It was a way to find my food boards. Okay. So, hi, hello from Michigan. I lived in Ohio for a little while, all through high school. I met my husband there. And, um, so I know that area pretty well. It's beautiful. Anyway, so yes, Susan's recipe boards. So Susan, you're like kind of almost niche down, but not quite. You technically could even like just be a food blogger or just a garden blogger. You know what I mean? But not that that's bad what you're doing. I'm not saying that, but you do kind of have to like manage a little bit more since your niche is more like, what would you say? Homemaker, all things, homemaking. So anyway, with the recipe boards, yeah, I would take out the recipe part first, the first part of that, just because it's like Pinterest, the algorithm is reading all of this, right? They're reading your board titles, they're reading your descriptions to figure out, okay, who's Susan, what is she all about, and who should we put her in front of? Is she going to have content that our users are going to want to see? And so when you have a lot of the same word there, recipes, it's not going to be specific enough to Pinterest. So yes, I would take that out. And here's what I would do with this. Let's pick a board. Recipes, healthy and low calorie choices. So here you can, one, start with trends. Also, go into your home feed and hit the search magnifying glass thing. And I want you to, oops, I did not want to do that. I wanted to have two separate screens here and here. Okay, we're going to go over to this screen and we're going to go to home feed and we're going to search. We're going to search healthy. Let's just start. So sometimes I don't know where I'm going with this. Sometimes I'm just going to start with a word, healthy, low calorie meals. So here you're going to have, this is the drop down. Okay. This is guided search. And we've talked about guided search. We actually have a video coming up later this month about guided search. This is guided search where you start to type in words and then Pinterest says, oh, we think you are looking for this. And these are also just like keyword phrases that are searched a lot on Pinterest. So this is where you can start to get some ideas. This is where you start to have a list. You say, oh, okay, so we've got healthy low carb dinners, healthy low calorie meals, healthy low carb recipes, healthy low calorie snacks. All of these words and phrases are keywords that you want to take note of, because not only do you want to think like, okay, how do I want to title my board here? You also just want to have a list of words that you know do well on Pinterest that you can use on your pin text overlay when you create your pins, your pin titles, your pin descriptions. Okay, those are all going to be helpful. So that's where I'd start. Write these down. But ultimately, like, you're going to pick the ones that are most relevant to the board that you have. So we're going to pick, I think, healthy low calorie meals. And here's another place where you can get some keyword ideas in these tiles at the top. And so you can start to click on these. Easy is a good one because one, you have it in your profile, easy recipes. So, and you can continue to narrow that down until you have no more. Or you can also just look at, here's what I do. I look at the top pins on this feed right here, right now. And I start to take note of the words that are being used on the pins themselves. And so protein, that's a big one right now. Here's a joke, not really a joke. It's a side note. Okay. I'm in the millennial generation. I had my in-laws over the other day and one of my kids said, something about eating something sweet. And I said, no, you have to have your protein first. And I realized like that is such a millennial thing to say to the kids. I think my parents' generation said, eat your veggies. And then our generation said, eat your protein. Anyway. Okay. So this is where, you're writing down, not just narrowing down, you're writing down all of these keyword ideas. You're getting from these top pins that you see at the top of the feed, because these are the pins that Pinterest is saying, these are good pins to put in front of people who are searching these specific words. Okay. So you're writing these down, and then you can go into trends. Where is that? Right here. And all the words you wrote down, now you're going to start to compare them and see which ones are better. Do you see what I'm doing? See what I'm getting at? And then you use those more, and you use the better ones in your titles, and continue to use those words in your pin text overlay, title, descriptions. Okay, I have some questions here. About the descriptions for each board, should I name the board with one main keyword using the trends method you just shared, and then use the other keywords in that board description? Yes. Reinvented Delaware. Yes, that is what I would do. Because here's the thing. They're still being searched. Even if it's not like, if you're like, comparing on trends and you see that the one keyword phrase is better than the rest, the others are still being searched. And you can't use the same four words over and over again. So yes, absolutely. That's a good strategy. Also, should the pins that go in that board include those keywords as well? Should the pins that go in that one? Yes. Yes. I think you already know that because I just talked about that. Okay. Yep. Funny. I am 54 and say sit down and eat. Yes. That's great. I love it. Hey, we need all of it. We don't just need protein. We also need our veggies, and we also need to sit down and eat. Okay. Anyway, continue to drop your questions, please, if you have them. So, that's the main thing I wanted you to know about Pinterest trends. There are a ton of other features within the trends tool. That's the word I was looking for. That you can get ideas from, especially when it comes to content ideas. Like if you need content ideas, if you need ideas for like upcoming seasons, what are people searching for? What's trending? And using those trends to then like okay, yes, question I see about idea pins. I will get to that. So I don't want to get too heavy into the whole trends tool, but this is where you can really narrow down, who's searching what and when, and then take those ideas and create content that is relevant. That's the point. Pinterest wants relevant content for the users. So if you can create content that is trending, that people are going to be searching for, that's great. Okay. Idea pins. Are the idea pins still working? Okay, so they are, that's just such a mess, if you ask me. But okay, idea pins. Pinterest is doing away with them. They have, so why it's confusing is because they're basically like keeping some of the features that they introduced with idea pins. They're keeping some of those features when we go to create a pin on Pinterest. So that might be why it's a little confusing. And even some accounts still have the option to click on create idea pin. That's just like they haven't rolled it out to all accounts yet. So that's why it's confusing. All pins will just be considered a pin. This is what we have learned. And so whether it's a pin, whatever you upload, whether it be a static image, like the standard Pinterest pin, Maybe it has text overlay, all of those things. Or whether it's like a video upload, a video pin, it's just all going to be able to be created in the same pin format tool. I hope that makes sense. Like, okay. Okay. Right here, create pin. See, we still have idea pin. Let's just click on it and see what happens. Create new. So here's the thing. Pinterest, they keep me on my toes, let me tell you. They like to make sure their mobile app is updated a little sooner than the desktop. That is what I've noticed. I haven't heard an official word on that, but that is what I have noticed. They like to do that more on mobile. So that is often where I like to go first if they're making changes to see what they're doing. So honestly, here's the deal with idea pins. I wouldn't worry about it. Just upload a pin, whether it is a, right here, you can upload, can you see? I don't know if you can see my, my images box, but let's just pick something here. Okay. So, oh, funny. That is so funny. The pin image I clicked on is the one about idea pins from the past when we talked about idea pins. Okay. So anyway, this could have been a video. Or it can also be, I can add multiple images here. Okay. So it really doesn't matter. I wouldn't worry about it. Don't even fuss about idea pins. Just upload pins. Make sure you're linking to a relevant site, blog or page. And just let that be. You know what I'm saying? Okay, questions. Do we still have to use the classic pin builder for our pins to be distributed well? No. A lot of my pins are categorized as story pins. Interesting. Where? Okay. I don't know how to say your name. I'm so sorry. But are you in the US is my question. Sometimes if you're out of the country, out of like this country that I'm in, the US, depending on where you are, it's harder to speak to what Pinterest is doing there because they don't do it at the same time, the same timeline. It's just not the case. So, yeah, you do not need to use Pinterest. You don't need to upload on Pinterest all the time. I use Tailwind a lot. It really just depends on how often you are pinning. Okay, back to Susan. I want to get back to Susan. Susan, I don't know how often you're pinning, but obviously consistency is important on the platform. So you're wanting to make sure you're up on what you're doing on Pinterest. And I saw that what you said was that, you feel like, there's no hard rules or whatever when it comes to Pinterest marketing. And you're right, there isn't. There just isn't. And what I can tell you, and we actually, couple weeks ago, Kate and Aaron and I got back we were at a conference, Flavor Media Summit conference for food bloggers in Denver. And we were on a roundtable discussion. And that was one of the things, frustrations, very frustrated that there's all of this advice coming from all of these Pinterest experts. And, it's not always the same. And I get that frustration for sure. And here's what I can tell you. What we know here at SimplePin is that we've been doing this for over 10 years. We have managed hundreds of accounts ourselves. We not only manage accounts, but we also have one-time services where we talk about, we go through, people's accounts on strategy calls and stuff like that. We're heavily involved in whatever Pinterest is doing, joining their webinar calls, trying to get answers from Pinterest themselves. So I would say the main thing though is that when we manage hundreds of Pinterest accounts, we kind of have this idea of like, okay, this generally works better than this. Now, there are times where we decide we need to change the strategy because Pinterest changes, just like any other platform, they're going to change the way they do things and what they expect from you. So we always want to make sure we are, able to kind of pivot. And if there's something that we've been saying for years that like, no, you shouldn't do this, we also want to be able to say, actually, we change our minds because we see this, this, and this. So we are always trying to make sure that, we're staying true to who we are and to you guys so that you know that we are, we take this seriously, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So in general, you want to be creating content at least once a week, new content. And you want to be pinning that, like we do 2 pins per piece of content. We post a blog post / podcast every single week, and we create 2 pins for each piece of content. And we pin that onto most relevant boards. We use Tailwind, we schedule them, we interval that pin them. So that pin drips out to all the relevant boards, a few days apart. It doesn't really matter. That's just a tactic that I can't really give you like a hard rule on. I don't want to, because that just is silly. What might be good for you might not be good for somebody else. So the main thing I want you to take away is that consistency, having your own little routine is important. Okay, you do pin daily, just not to that specific account. What other account? You have another account? And Susan, I mean, I don't pin daily. Oh, to the board. Sorry, I just need to keep reading. Okay, it's 11:48. The time is flying. Okay, yeah, no, you don't need to pin to a specific board daily. You just need to make sure you have pins going out consistently. I believe here's something we need to do. We need to go back to your profile and we need to look at your website. I saw that you're claimed, which is great. You claimed your website. That little world check mark icon means you're claimed. We're going to go to your website. Okay. If by chance you are ever in the mood or market to update website, I would say, just for, updating sake, I would try to do maybe a little less words at the top here, more pictures. This is good. I see, like here, you are, look, I didn't even see that before, Susan. That is like almost exactly like what I was saying for your Pinterest account at the top in your banner. Keeping it like, this is what you need right here. Gardening recipes and home. In your title as well. Susan Moncrief. Gardening recipes and home. That is what you need. Okay. So anyway, this is all good. I think I've seen this theme, if it's a theme, before. And I think it could be updated. But nonetheless, I did notice that when I click on a pin, it goes where it's supposed to go. Oh, except that one. Oh, I found one. Oh, okay. So we need to fix that one, Susan. This one goes to your homepage, which you don't want. You want this to go to, I'm sure you know this. You want it to go to the blog post that talks about the 3-ingredient Greek salad dressing recipe. That is what we want. If you need any easy salad dressing to top your lettuce or pasta salads this summer, you have to give this Greek salad dressing recipe a try. That's good. I love what you're saying here. And also you're including like a seasonal thing, which is great. Summer is approaching, and I'm glad that you're already on it. This is very summery. You're doing great with the summery things you're pinning. That's really good. We need to make sure we're sending those, send them to the right place. Okay, wait, I'm not going to get to those questions until I'm done with Susan. Okay. So let's get back on track here, Tabitha. What was I saying, people? Website. Okay. I wonder if we can organize this a little bit better, because when I come to your website, like I know that you're gardening, home, and recipes, but feel a little bit confused. I know this is like trending posts, but like when we combine when we combine a recipe with a gardening thing, you know what I'm saying? I feel like if I'm somebody who's like needing something specific coming to your site, okay. So I can see, is this a part of your branding colors? Again, I'm going to go back to branding. I'm waiting for my turn. Okay, don't read the comments. I can't read them yet. Get distracted. Okay, so, okay, branding. I mean, these pretty flowers, I think that's your branding. Purple, maybe? Green? I want to figure out your branding. Okay. I think I'm gonna look through my notes. I'm gonna come to the end here. We talked about boards. We talked about branding. We talked about pin design, keywording, board keywording, pins. Basically your keywording, let me just say this real quick. Basically your keywording research that you do for Pinterest specifically, all of those good keywords that you find, that you write down, keep that list. I would put it on a doc. Save that doc. It's your Pinterest keyword doc. And you can reference it as you create new content, as you create new pins, pin text overlay, titles, descriptions, everything. Okay. I think we've covered a lot. How do you feel about that? You have, I don't know if you saw at the beginning, Susan, but you have so much potential here. So much potential. I mean, I'm sure you're already doing well. I'm sure. Oh, the pin. What was the pin? I want to know what the pin was. Yes. The pin that you said does well for you. I'd love to know that. So let's get to some questions here. Let's wrap this up. Things I haven't gotten to. Thanks, good to know. This person, I can't say your name. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to say it. Wanigru? I probably butchered it. I'm so sorry. Okay. A popular Pinterest blog advised that if you schedule using Pinterest, to make sure you use the create pin for an ad option instead of creating an organic pin. Okay, so here's what I would say to that. And this is something that came up before when we talked about this in Denver at the conference, where people were frustrated about all the marketing advice. When you get that advice, I want you to ask why. Where did they get that information from? Why? What's their reasoning for that? And if it makes sense to you, then go ahead and try it. I don't see the need for that. I mean, we post our organic pin and it does fine. Are you running ads? Do you want to run ads? Do you want to invest in that? Those are questions I would ask. Next, Scribbler. I handle a Pinterest account for a luxury e-commerce platform for interior design. I want to explore Pinterest ads. What kind of ads should I be running? Shopping pins or collection ads, etc. Okay, that's a good question. That's deep into the ads. That is not my department. So we have a it really, I think it depends on like what your goal is. There's like the whole Pinterest funnel with what are the words? Consideration, awareness, consideration, conversion, all of that. So it depends on where you're trying to meet your audience at. And should I be shopping pins or collection ads? That would be a good question for, our ads department and Erin. And you know what? I can ask Erin and just to give an overview, but it's really hard to give those specific answers to somebody who wants to run ads, just because there are so many variables as to like which one you should do and how much money you should throw at it and all of those things, which is why we like manage ads for people, but we also have a membership called the Ad Society. I'm not like trying to sell you on something, but I am trying to tell you that there's a reason why we set that up. The membership is because running ads is it's so individual. And so it's hard to give just blanket advice to a very specific question, if that makes any sense. But I can see what kind of answer I can get from Erin and get back to you. All right, I'm waiting my turn. Funny. Okay. Susan said, thank you so much. This has been so helpful, and I promise to use your advice. Oh, good. Your number one pin. Are you able to link it? I wonder. I don't know. I don't know if you're able to link it. I'd love to check it out though. Oh yes, I'm so glad we got, okay, before we end at 12 o'clock, I'm not doing this more than an hour. So Susan has this one pin that apparently does really well for her, and it continues to do really well, which is very common on Pinterest. It's like, we have the same thing, and our pin is like, it's an evergreen pin, and it's the same blog post that's so old, but it does so well on Pinterest, and it can't beat it. You can't beat it. And it's just common on Pinterest. So here's what I would do. Typically we have probably like top 3 posts that tend to do really well on Pinterest. And like, and sometimes it's not just that pin that's doing well. It's like the content that the pin is connected to. So like we have this one blog post, how to clean up your Pinterest boards. It's super old. We update it, of course, but we have created throughout the years, we have created new pins for that blog post. And those pins, even the newer ones, tend to do better than all the rest because of that piece, that content. It's just so loved on Pinterest. So here's a tip for you and everybody, Susan and everybody watching. I want you to look at the content that does really well for you consistently, like your evergreen content that does really well for you on Pinterest. And I want you to keep that, like maybe put that in, your Pinterest marketing, what's the word? Drive, Google Drive. This is where you keep all of your Pinterest information, the stuff you need to know to do marketing on Pinterest well. Keep those blog posts, record them somewhere, and come back to it. Like, I would say at most every quarter, but at least once a year. Create a new pin for those pieces of content that do really well for you on Pinterest. Create new ones and get new pins out there, and see how they do. I want you to watch and see how they do. For us, we look back over the years, we have like top 3 pins, they all go to this, they're all different looking, okay? Like our top 3 pins, they're all very different looking within our brand, but they all go to the same blog post. Okay, there you go. Last tip. I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it a day. I hope this is helpful, guys. Let me know. Should we do this again? Should we do another live audit? I don't know. This was our first time doing this. I mean, I had a lot of fun. It was just by myself. I was a little worried about that. You know, you kind of like, you feel like you're talking to yourself. Kind of am, but anyway, I'm sure Kate will be with us next time. If you missed it in the beginning, she was supposed to be with us today, but she is under the weather. So it was just me. But as you know, if you've watched our channel, Kate is the CEO and founder of Simple Pin Media, and she really is like, you know, the boss at just speaking clearly. Anyway, this was fun. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Now I got to figure out how to end this. How do we end this, guys? Oh, big red button. Okay, bye.